Thursday, April 18th, 2024, Miamisburg School Board meeting. I will stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the district mission is to foster a positive, nurturing, and safe environment to inspire and support ongoing learning and the development of individuals as productive members of society. We must be able to conduct our meetings in an orderly fashion. Our expectation at all board meetings is that everyone conducts themselves civilly and respectfully. In the event anyone is disruptive and interferes with the meeting, they will be asked to leave. If they do not, we will request that law enforcement assist in the process. All right, roll call.
Mr. Amsler?
Here.
Mr. Daffler?
Here.
Mrs. Getter?
Here.
Mr. Mallory?
Here.
Mrs. Neese?
Here.
Ms. McGowan? Ms. Opgavard? Mr. Prince?
Here.
Ms. Stocker? Dr. Blessing?
President.
Mr. Blevins? And I'm present.
Sure. Next we have appointment of our treasurer pro tem. The president of the Board of Education appoints Steve Homan to act as treasurer pro tem for the April 18th, 2024 regular board meeting. Our treasurer's at a conference in Columbus, so Mr. Homan's going to take over for him. Next we have the approval of the adoption of the April 18th, 2024 agenda. Next, the approval of waiving the reading of the following minutes as presented. Regular board meeting held on March 21st, 2024. Special board meeting, work session held on Thursday, March 28th, 2024. And special board meeting, work session held on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Next we have the approval of the minutes for regular board meeting held on March 21st, 2024, and special board meeting work sessions held on Thursday, March 28th, 2024, and Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Next we have approval of the financial report. And next, we have recognition of citizens, staff, and students. And we'll start with our April District Student of the Month, Braxton Perry from Mound Elementary School.
He's gonna stay. Yeah, he's right there. Can you wave to us, Braxton? Hi.
Hi, Braxton.
The Miamisburg February District Student of the Month is Mound Elementary School kindergarten student Braxton Perry. Braxton was nominated by his teacher Jennifer Turnmeyer. Ms. Turnmeyer said Braxton does an exceptional job of showing respectful and responsible behavior each day. He works diligently and demonstrates persistence while continuing to have a positive attitude toward school and learning. He models leadership in all school settings and sets the standards for behavior in our classroom. He is well-mannered as a student, and I am honored to nominate him. Congratulations, Mr. Braxton.
We've got a t-shirt and a medallion. little shy, so thank you all. Appreciate that. Okay. 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 And now I think you have something for the middle school
Yes,
cheerleaders.
I just want to make sure
Okay.
we're all finished with that. Okay, yeah. Next we'll recognize the Miamisburg Middle School Cheer State Champs. The Miamisburg Middle School Competition Cheer and Game Day Competition cheer coaches and athletes accomplished several significant milestones that are very much deserving of widespread recognition and admiration. They finished first place more often than not, named grand champion over dozens of school districts throughout the state several times, even beating dozens of high school teams. And they won 2 state titles at Columbus, Olentangy, and second at the Football Hall of Fame in Akron. Would you all like to come up front so that we can recognize you?
Maybe they can come over here, ladies. Do you want to do a cheer for us? I guess that's a no, okay? And the coaches, you want to come in too and get in the picture, please? That'd be great. Two rows, ladies. However you want to, you guys know. You guys are great at posing.
You can have a picture.
Yes. Oh wait, hold on, there's a couple more coming. She's not a cheerleader. I think there's any more coaches.
Aww.
Not yet.
There's lots of pictures behind you too, Steve.
All right, so now we'll get out the line.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Don't go anywhere real quick. My daughter is in that group. And I promised her that I wouldn't embarrass her, and I'm not. But for her and all her girlfriends, I can't tell you as a dad how proud I am of you, watching you grow and work. And, you know, the one thing, cheerleaders aside, the coaches that are standing over here with these girls, the amount of dedication that they have to work with them on Saturdays and Sundays for hours and hours and hours and put together choreography camps. I mean, it's exhausting. And aside from the girls' effort, you know, they achieved high levels the way they are because they have solid coaches who work their butts off. And you did our girls well, and you did our community well. And as a father and a board member, I appreciate you very much.
So are you all going to be cheerleaders next year too?
Yeah.
Yay. Molly. Molly. I got you right.
Can't wait to get out the board quick.
All right, thank you, cheerleaders. It's quite the sport these days, for sure. All right, next we'll go to Staff Appreciation Week. It is recommended that the Board of Education recognize the week of May 5th through the 11th, 2024 as Staff Appreciation Week with the following proclamation. Whereas the entire Miamisburg City School staff makes our schools an excellent place for students to learn, and whereas the Miamisburg staff works to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas the Miamisburg staff fills many roles as listeners, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas the Miamisburg staff continues to influence students in their future endeavors long after graduation. And therefore be it resolved that the Miamisburg Board of Education hereby proclaims the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2024 as Staff Appreciation Week. The Miamisburg City School District would also like to recognize the following groups on their special days. Bus Driver Appreciation Day, Tuesday, April 23rd. Administrative Professionals Day, Wednesday, April 24th. School Principals Day, Monday, May 1st. National School Lunch Heroes Day, Friday, May 3rd. School Nurses Day, Wednesday, May 8th. Receptionist Day, Wednesday, May 8th. Speech Pathologist Day, Saturday, May 18th. Right. It is recommended that the Board of Education
She's our board president.
approve meeting opening items C through H. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion for approval for items C through H.
Second.
Who seconded? Oh.
Chris.
Kristen? Okay. All right, first by Mr. Mallory, a second by Mr. Amsler. All right.
Before we vote, I have a couple comments about the, is that okay? Our board met on Tuesday, the 16th of April, as a special work session to discuss the strategic plan of our district. That guides our superintendent as to what the board expects and throughout the whole district and how it's ran. And if you're not familiar with that, that includes the strategic areas of focus that are safety and sense of belonging, teaching and learning, student ownership, communication and decision-making, and finance and facilities. Recognizing that all those things are critically important to the district, and also that climates rapidly change. The meeting was called to be a strategic communication session for the board members to be able to communicate and see if there are any adjustments that need to be made to that. I have a couple comments from that meeting that I would like to share. The meeting was, there were no public comments, but it kind of turned into a comment session, which at first I really didn't understand, but as it progressed, I very much appreciated. It offered many differing perspectives that otherwise the board as a whole would have not had the opportunity to hear, understand, and process. One of the areas of concern for me is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how those topics have been skewed to project some things into communities that, quite frankly, make many parents uncomfortable. Being pragmatic and understanding that all sides of an equation need to be considered for it to be inclusive, I hope that we can continue an ongoing conversation about that and understand some of the dangers that accompany that our children are exposed to. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
Mrs. Getter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
All right, now we're gonna go to our public comment section. And the green sheets do have to be turned in before the meeting starts. So, I mean, we have to be consistent with this. This is the way we've always done things, and that's in our, that's the way we govern our meeting. So, we're gonna stick with that.
Is there anyone that wants to speak that did not fill out a green form or submitted it late? Being that there's one person here, out of respect for them taking the time to come and visit with us, can we approve an exception to that rule?
I think we need to stay consistent.
She's the
That's,
governing body. I would agree that once you amend that procedure, that because we're in an open forum that can be contested for the future. So once you do it once, you set a criteria that you have done it before, so I would stick with the policy that we have in hand.
Where is that policy within the policy manager, do you know?
Well, it's the procedure that we have that has been in our board agenda
It's in our board
since,
policy. We have it in board policy.
so,
And how would that, what would, just for my sake, what would it look like to amend that policy?
it would be opening up the policy and rewriting the policy,
That section of it?
yeah.
All right.
Would a simple motion to remove that requirement suffice?
Not
No?
tonight.
Not here.
Not
Okay,
here.
thank you.
No. All right, the first 15 minutes are to align with any adoption or item on our agenda. I would say we have a couple of those. So let's start with Justin Shevitz. I need to read that. Commenters, I will give their name and address. Each person is allotted 3 minutes to speak. The first 15 minutes is for public comments concerning the agenda items. An additional 15 minutes for discussion of other topics. Will provide a total time of 30 minutes for public comments. We will give a 30-second warning so speakers know when their time is up. During public participation, each member of the public should direct their comments to the board as a whole. Consistent with our policy, this is not a time to question individual board members or district employees. As a reminder, our expectation tonight is that everyone conducts themselves civilly and respectfully. We will not tolerate profanity, frivolous, repetitive, or harassing statements. Sorry, Justin. You'll state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Justin Shevitz. I'm at 9310 Miamisburg, Spring Grove Road. Good evening, everyone. I would like to bring to the board our concern about discipline in the district. My wife and I have children at every level here, from elementary to high school. We hear stories of misbehavior and classroom interruptions on a daily basis. It seems like there are no interventions to address these issues that are working. Learning time is constantly being wasted. Also, I'm aware that there will be a board vote tonight on a new social studies curriculum. I just wanted to ask if all of our elected board members have had time to review the proposed curriculum and the materials that go with that ahead of tonight's vote, in order to ensure that what is being taught to our students reflects the values of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hear more.
And then I think our next one would be Sandy Miller. Would you come on up, Sandy?
Hi, my name is Sandy Miller. I live at 1314 Emily Beth Drive, and I'm a little concerned at what I'm seeing being taught. I talked to several kids, including my grandchildren, about the Holocaust, and they said, oh no, that wasn't anything that they were going to study because it didn't matter anymore. I disagree. I think it does. I just want to be sure that the people we have elected to choose or disregard the policies get to see them before they are asked to vote. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Scott Taylor.
Good evening. Many of us believe there is a culture war going on in our country. Many of us believe that individuals should be taught, sort of like what Booker T. Washington talked about, that if you teach someone a trade, if you teach them a skill, if you teach them good character, and they bring value to our society, then they'll be respected and valued, and they too can grow wealth. And Booker T. Washington, being a black individual who was living during the time of slavery as a small child, wrote a book called Up From Slavery. He talked about establishing the, an institution that is well known. I just forgot the name, but there were a bunch of fighter pilots that graduated from the university during World War II. But anyways, it
Tuskegee Airmen?
Yes, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Jason. But my concern is, it seems like a lot of trust has kind of been lost, and it used to be we simply trusted our administrators to choose curriculum for us. But really, I think we'd like to actually see what's being approved. And we'd like the school board members to be able to actually review that material. Because it seems like when you present materials to the board and not give them an adequate time to actually review the material, are they really filling their job to be able to accomplish those things? So that's pretty much what I want to share this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Next we have Christine Ferens. Are you here tonight?
I am.
Okay. Oh, and that was the end of the items for our agenda.
Well,
Hello, and thanks very much for the opportunity to speak this evening. I wanted to offer my point of view on belonging as a resident and as a mental health professional of over 25 years. Brene Brown, renowned researcher with the University of Houston, talks about the difference between fitting in and belonging. Quote, "Fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be in order to be accepted. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are," unquote. She further breaks this down with a quote from a 12-year-old. "If I get to be me, I belong. If I have to be like you, it's fitting in." Allen et al. In their 2024 article titled "Adolescent School Belonging and Mental Health Outcomes in Young Adulthood" showed that, quote, "higher levels of all aspects of school belonging were associated with lower mental health symptoms across young adulthood," unquote. Further, they found that, quote, "the importance of adolescent school belonging, and in particular school status and reference to feeling socially valued, as a long-term protective factor that can mitigate against later depression, anxiety, and stress," unquote. The Boys and Girls Club of America, in their December of 2023 article, "Benefits of Diversity in the Workplace, What Youth and Parents Should Know," note that the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the workplace offer the following key benefits: a safe environment free from judgment, a fostering of innovation and creativity, demonstrates to youth what is possible, builds trust, increases collaboration, and decreases turnover. The article states that as youth enter the workforce, they are specifically looking for companies that employ this sense of belonging through diversity, equity, and inclusion. By focusing on belonging and allowing kids to know that everyone is their own unique self with their own unique culture, we foster a healthy sense of mental well-being and community. We foster a future generation of adults who have the capacity to see others not as they see themselves, but as unique individuals. I applaud this board for supporting safety and sense of belonging in their strategic plan. As our youth move through their journey of school and eventually to young adulthood, they deserve to have the support and encouragement to be who they are so that they can belong, decrease the chances of mental health challenges, and become a productive member of our community and society as a whole.
30
Thank you.
seconds. Ms. Ferentz,
Thank you.
could I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
As a mental health professional, you were here last month
Uh-huh.
advocating for means and measures to advocate for students whose sexual preferences might be LGBTQ+ or have a gender identity issue.
Yes.
Within that realm, how would a board like ours develop an inclusive policy to shelter families who don't share those same values for their children?
That's not up to me, sir. I think that's up to the board and the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Mrs. Stearns. All right. Next we go to our board discussion. And first we have our technology update by Andy Claber.
Good evening. Nice to be with you guys today. Couple things that Stacy had asked me to talk about today. One of them was our one-to-one Chromebook program that we have in the district. Basically, every student has a Chromebook at their disposal. At the elementary schools, we typically deal with the Chromebooks being on carts, 30 in a classroom. And at the middle school and at the high school, the students have the option of paying a fee and then having the Chromebook with them throughout the course to take back and forth to home. And in all of that, there's a lot of people that are involved in that process, the media center specialists, our secretaries, and of course our technicians, and they do a fantastic job of keeping our one-to-one repair and fee collection process running smoothly. One of the other things that I'd like to talk about too is E-rate, and I don't know if everyone on the board is familiar with what E-rate is. The E-rate program evolved from the Telecommunications Act of 1996 and falls under the guidance of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. And basically, the E-rate program helps schools and libraries in the United States get affordable access to the internet and other telecommunication services. So the program provides discounts on these services to eligible institutions and making it more affordable for us to connect to the internet and gain access to educational resources. So some of the things that E-rate is used for is to buy our network infrastructure, the switches in our network closets, the wireless access points that we have throughout our buildings, and also our connectivity back to the internet, which is through our ISP Meta. And how does E-rate work at Miamisburg City Schools? Each E-rate eligible institution is assigned a reimbursement percentage based on the number of students who qualify for the free and reduced lunch program. Our reimbursement rate this year is 80%. So when we put out to bid, projects that we're doing to replace our infrastructure, the E-rate program will reimburse us 80% of that cost, which leaves us with the remaining 20% to pay for it, which makes this a very crucial program for us in terms of supporting our district and all of our initiatives. So I didn't know if you guys were familiar with how that whole thing worked. This year, some of the projects that we're doing with our E-rate money, we're increasing our bandwidth to the internet from 2 gigabytes to 5 gigabytes, which is a pretty sizable jump. In our district, the network topology is the internet connection comes into the middle school, and the middle school would be like the hub for our district, and then access to all the other buildings are through the middle school. So the main bandwidth that we have for the district is going to jump from 2 gigabytes to 5 gigabytes this summer. And we're also increasing the bandwidth between our middle school and our high school. The high school currently has a 1 gigabyte bandwidth back to the middle school, and that's going to be increased to 3. One of the reasons for that is the high school is one of our largest consumers of the bandwidth. So we're just trying to get out ahead of that and then allow us a little bit of room for growth. The rule in bandwidth is the more you provide, the more is taken. So we're hoping that we can go a couple years without having to upgrade for a while. All of our other buildings have a 1 gigabyte connection back to the middle school, which is seems to be very sufficient right now for our smaller buildings. Among the upgrades that we're doing, we're upgrading all the infrastructure in our non-instructional buildings, memorial, transportation department, our maintenance department, and our tech and student services building are all getting switch upgrades. And we're upgrading the core switches at our middle school, or at our high school, to accommodate the new bandwidth that we're gonna be bringing to it. Also, as part of the replacement cycle with our E-rate funds, we are going to be replacing a lot of our wireless access points, which are coming to the end of their support. So we're rotating all of our older WAPs out and installing newer ones. The buildings most impacted by that will be Jane Chance, Mound, and the high school. So one of the things that was very refreshing coming to Miamisburg was that the team had put in place a really good replacement cycle. And so they've had replacement cycles for the PCs, the projectors that they use in the classrooms, and our network infrastructure in place well before I got here 3 years ago. And some of our summer projects are going to reflect those replacement cycles. We're getting ready this summer to upgrade Kinder with the projectors. We've been moving towards laser projectors, which don't require a bulb and thus doesn't have the recurring cost of bulb replacement. And we're doing PC upgrades at the middle school for all our office and classroom PCs, and we're replacing a lab in room 115. And we're doing a lab upgrade at the high school as well. Other upgrades that are happening over the summer, we're doing some server and storage upgrades, and we will do our Chromebook purchase for incoming 6th and 9th grade students at the high school and middle school buildings. One of the things that I'm in charge of here is the tech coach meetings. We have tech coaches that represent each of our buildings that take resources back to our staff and help them to integrate technology into their curriculum. Our continuing focus is going to be on tools and resources that we make available to them. And one of our big focuses this year was the inclusion of AI as one of those tools and resources. So that's something that we're treading delicately because there's pros and cons of all the AI stuff, but there's a lot of pros to be had and a lot of time and efficiencies that can be found for our staff to use AI. And I know that's a lot of information. One of the things I hope is if you have questions or things that you'd like to see in the realm of technology, please feel free to let me know.
Are you responsible for the neat wiring of the network cabling in the school buildings?
Well, I'm not responsible for it totally, because that was probably more Mark Lotzbay, who was the prime person who got all of that in place.
Well, I have to tell you, when I did facilities tours with Ed and Steve, it was remarkable, the volume of wires, the complexity of the network, and it looked absolutely perfect. You could tell there was a lot of time and attention to detail taken with it, and a lot of professionalism, which, you know, it's kind of neat to see somebody, you know, implement their craft and be able to see that high quality standard. And I actually graduated high school with Mark.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so
okay.
I'll have to give him an attaboy the next time I see him. I have two other questions for you.
Sure.
You know, as budget constraints face our district, you know, we're running into issues and can forecast that we're going to be running into issues where there isn't going to be enough money at some point. If you take these replacement cycles and you expand them out to stretch the dollar, what kind of issues could the district face?
Well, it depends on how far out you need to stretch it. Now, like on some of our replacement cycles, like projectors, the laser projectors are new, and we really don't know how long they will last. I mean, they have a guess of, you know, so many hours, which is going to be much longer than a typical ball projector. So we may be able to extend, say, like the projectors out a little bit further to kind of slow, you know, keep the hurting in terms of finances to a minimum. PCs, it would be very hard to maintain proper infrastructure, especially network-wise, if we had to go an extended period of time, because for one reason, the ability to get support on the equipment runs out after a certain point. So you really don't want to go past the end of support, because then you're really in a bad spot.
And that's why I asked. I wanted to understand, you know, in delaying to allow budget dollars to be stretched, you know, I want to be cognitive when we're considering those kinds of decisions to not make your job harder, because you're doing a great job, and you deserve all the support and accolades for doing a dynamite job. The only other question I have for you that I wonder from a personal perspective is Student Technology Services is centered on Central Avenue, right?
Yeah, 928 Central.
Right. And when I look at that facility, I often wonder, you know, how is your presence being centralized outside of where the education process is a benefit to our district?
Honestly, I think the position in that building for us makes us very central for getting out to the other buildings. I think maybe our longest trip is probably to Bauer, which is, you know, just 10, 15 minutes up the road. So positionally, I think we're very strategically placed to be able to fan out to whichever building we need to get to.
And the network hub is at the middle school, right?
It is.
Okay. Would there be any benefit to have your center of operations at the middle school where the network hub exists?
Not really. I mean, remote management has come a long way.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot that we can do remotely that doesn't require us to have a presence at the middle school.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Right, thank you, Mr. Claber. Any other questions?
I do. And I know I always bring this up, but I'm concerned about the Chromebooks for children, students at the high school that are on free and reduced lunch and perhaps could not afford to pay the fee for the Chromebook. So maybe Dr. Blessing is the one, or, I mean, how do we get Chromebooks in their hands so they can take them home?
We have a fee waiver for
There's a
Chromebooks.
fee, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
okay,
kinda
so
thought
they
that's
have a
what it
fee
was.
waiver,
Yeah,
just
they-
like, okay,
they
for
do.
us, okay,
Yes.
great, awesome, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
next we have our student rep, Andrew Prince, talking about the Flux credit that he's been working on with other student board reps from Miamisburg, Valley View, West Carrollton, Centerville, and Northmont.
So unfortunately, none of the other student reps could be here tonight, so, yeah. So, like Mrs. Neese said, and thanks to Mrs. Getter, we were able to, as Miamisburg student reps, we were able to join the roundtable, which consists of those schools where we get to work with other peers and other students that sit on their board of educations for their respective districts as well. So as we're all still growing with the whole process, and we're still learning things, but as I have gathered information on it, I believe the roundtable does a really big project every year. And so this year, we decided as a group to target the physical education flex credit program. So essentially what a flex credit is in general is it allows students to partake in educational opportunities and experiences outside of school hours. And so as we've decided to target physical education specifically, this goes for all students who partake in sports that aren't school sanctioned. So as we met with the roundtable, I think back in February or March, they all sent us out on a journey to collect statistics for what our student body thought of the idea. And I have them put up here, and I'm gonna summarize it a little bit. I think the biggest thing we asked was if school sanctioned sports were a thing, would you use this PE flex credit? And we had an overwhelming majority, 95% say they would. And our last question on the survey was, as we have school sanctioned and unschool sanctioned sports, should we allow sports like soccer? Let's say Miamisburg has a good soccer program, but not all soccer players in Miamisburg play that sanctioned sport. Should we allow that sport club soccer team player to still get the credit? And it was, student body wanted it. So right now, from what at least we from Miamisburg have gathered, we're going to address the roundtable and incorporating every sport. So the reason that we decided to target the flex credit for physical education is there are some schools at the Round Table, I think Valley View, they don't even have that opportunity. So those students who do dance or do swimming or rowing, they don't get the opportunity to get that physical education credit out of the way, so they have to take up times in their schedule to take a PE class. And I know, like, for me, I want to overload my schedule as much as possible. So, let me see, I wrote some notes down. Oh yeah, I was going to comment on Miamisburg. Miamisburg, as I am getting better and more equipped to sit here on the board, I've learned just how much Miamisburg City Schools offers amazing programs and experiences and assistance for students to get to their education, I lost the word, goals, there we are. And so Miamisburg actually offers a good PE flex credit. However, it's a little tedious in the workload. You do have to say you're gonna do it the semester before, and there's 60 hours of documented physical education activities, and a few assignments and assessments here and there. So we're just trying to make this PE flex credit more mainstream and easier for student athletes to balance their athletics and academics. Maddie McGowan, she sits over there usually. She wanted me to say some words for her today. She said, I wanted to say that while I'm not directly involved with the flex credit, I'm very glad that Miamisburg has it as an option. It was very exciting and informative to hear from the other students whose schools don't have the option for the flex credit. I was very pleased to see that there was a draft for club sports legislation. Yeah, so, and Ms. Neese, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure some local representatives endorsed our ideas to take to state legislation, which is extremely exciting. For me, seeing this really put what the student board reps and advisors can do to help their respective districts. I can't wait to work with the student board reps and advisors again soon. And to finish this off, and I can confidently say for the 3 other board reps and of the other students on the round table, we are all very excited to be a part of this group and to witness the future advancements of this project.
Thank you, Andrew. Very exciting. I did make, I know that I had Donald Culp. He did want to introduce himself, and I'm so sorry I forgot that. He doesn't want to speak. He just wanted to come and introduce himself. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So we're backtracking a little bit.
So my name is Don Culp. I'm a Miami Township trustee. The most important thing about me is I'm Steve Homan's neighbor.
Oh.
So if you like Steve, that helped me get ahead already. I'm here tonight to, I promised myself for 7 years probably to come down and sit in a board meeting. I'm happy to be here tonight, finally. And I invited some of my fellow elected officials to come with me. Bob Matthews is the new Miami Township Fiscal Officer. I'll have to look at my notes so I remember all the names. Nate Mundy is on the West Carrollton School Board. So I don't know if you're familiar with the West Carrollton District. Rick Dobson left early. I think he's with West Carrollton City Council, right? Keith Novacell is with the council. Is it West Carrollton City Council? School Board. School Board, okay, thank you. And John Gomez is here, I think. He's with Treasurer Sprague's office. So I'm just happy to be here and watch the meeting. And Nyla, I stood with your husband for 4 hours on election day, I think, or maybe longer. It was a pleasure meeting him during that period. And it sounds like a boring thing to stand at the polls, but I'll tell you what, you get to know somebody after you're out there for a while. Dr. Blessing, I hope we see each other again at the award ceremony here on May 6th. I don't know if you're in attendance at that, but I'll be there promoting my love of the French language, so I'll be happy to see you there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Thank you.
Right. Next we have the approval of the 2024-25 school calendar. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education adopt the 24-25 school year calendar revision. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Dr. Buster?
Sure. And Mrs. Moore, I think, sent the board some notes. We had Election Day last November, and we had of course, our high school building is used for the elections, and it's very hard to have school and the elections. It can pose some safety issues. So we don't have school for the students. Last year we had a personalized learning day. It was easier, I think, for some of the elementary students. High school and middle school didn't go over as well, so we're just going to have a no student day and then a staff work day for that. Just some of the feedback we received. And then we are asking to add, 4 2-hour release late arrivals for the high school, so that the teachers and staff can look at data and help make some decisions for the students. They don't have any time during their day. Like the middle school and the elementary have some teacher time, but the high school doesn't. So, and Mr. Holman can talk a little bit more about what that would look like for bus routes, if he wants to share that.
Yeah, it'll just be put on at the end of the elementary. So the drivers pick the routes at the start of the year. They'll know on these 4 dates, their start times are different in terms of that.
And it doesn't affect our overall school's attendance is based on hours. So the high school has plenty of hours to meet the state minimum.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
No, but talking with Stacy, I fully support that. I think the teachers having collaboration 4 times a year, at least a couple hours to go over things, whether it's curriculum, whether it's getting students things that they may need at whatever level, I think is a benefit. I think the day off for the kids on election day, especially at the high school, it is what it is. Just let them have the day off. We go by hours anyhow, so we're well within that range. So I'm fully supportive of that.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that the community understands we don't have a choice whether they're going to use our school. Is that correct, Dr.
Yes, it
Messi?
is. Yes.
We don't have a choice. They tell us that they're going to use the school, and so we have to let them.
Yeah. All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the 24-25 school calendar revision.
Second.
First by Mr. Amsler and a second by Mrs. Scudder. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Getter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
Right. Next, we have our consent agenda. A, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the overnight extended student trips. All right. Melissa Katchenmeister, did I pronounce that right? Katchenmeister? Okay. MHS Destination Imagination, Kansas City, Missouri. Next we have B. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve out-of-state overnight travel. Melissa Katchenmeister, MHS Destination Imagination, Kansas City, Missouri. Next we have C. Michael Black, principal of Miamisburg High School, has recommended Alistair Shellmeyer, Caden Shores, Tanner Turner, Kayvon Wilson, and Zane Wright for early graduation pending satisfactory completion of all state and local requirements. Then we have D, recommended action, Becca Bennett, Laura Blessing, Danette Chance, Elise Haffenbrack, Lee Hieronymus, Kathy Sperry, and Stacy Moore review the mini grant proposals for the 24-25 school year. The attached list of projects is recommended for approval for joint funding with the Board of Education and the Miamisburg Schools Education Foundation. Next we have E. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the use and purchase of the following instructional materials. 1, is recommended that the Board of Education approve consent items A through E. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that the Board of Education approve consent items A through E.
A second, please.
Second.
Okay. We have a first by Mrs. Getter and a second by Mr. Amsler.
I have a couple of concerns that I'd like to offer for discussion, if I could be recognized, Ms. Neese. Thank you. You know, I'd like to take a minute to clarify something that became evident to me earlier this evening is, you know, we have policies that govern our operations as a district. And I can appreciate that although, you know, you can advocate to allow somebody to speak, the policy exists that says they can't, and I can appreciate everybody following that. But we also have other policies. And policy BDDC says the agenda together with supporting materials is distributed to board members at least 48 hours prior to the board meeting to permit them to give items of business careful consideration. Now that being said, I'd like to take a minute and clarify something that is critically important to have on the record this evening. We all sit here today as elected officials who have an oversight burden for the district on behalf of the taxpayers who voted for us to sit here for that very reason on their behalf. By a show of hands, how many board members were provided with the digital and print access versions of the instructional material that is outlined within agenda item 6?
Jason, I'm not doing a vote,
Not either.
I'm not asking you to.
I'm not
but
raising
you
my
just
hand.
said with a show of hands,
Okay, fair enough.
okay?
I'm trying to understand if it's been vetted by the board, because I've asked to receive it and I have not gotten access to it.
So are you asking about the textbook title information that we are going to teach in regards to the 6th grade all the way up to world religions, American songbook, all that stuff? Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, that's what we're being asked to approve.
Yeah, and some of it is already in, that was approved last year.
That doesn't have anything to do with this year, they wouldn't be seeking our approval again.
Because some of it has to be approved each year when you go, these are the course of studies that are gonna be approved based on kids signing up for different things. So for me to sit here and micromanage every course textbook that we have, I'm not going to do. I have 2 curriculum directors. I have to have the confidence and the trust in them that they put forth, plus we also have committees, we have teachers that vet the information. So when I get the recommendation, I haven't heard of the stuff that is in here, and I know what's one of them, I think that you're referencing, that's already been approved a year ago.
I'm not referencing any of them, I'm not familiar with any of them.
Okay, well, I'll belay my last on that then. But the textbook title information, I don't have a problem with because I believe that it's been reviewed and processed through our curriculum directors, or otherwise it wouldn't be here. I haven't heard anything from any teacher at any level that says, hey, you're gonna approve something. I haven't personally. Now, there's been a couple to the board, yes, at the 11th hour today that I received. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I don't have a problem with this.
I appreciate that, but I think you have to understand that there are different perspectives.
I'm not gonna sit here and micromanage everything, Jason.
I'm not
gonna do it.
I'm not asking you to.
Could I make a comment, please?
Yes,
Yeah.
you may.
Mrs. Moore is the curriculum director, if people don't know who she is. for the high school, and she works with our teachers. That's how this curriculum was developed, and the materials also chosen. So they work together over several months to develop appropriate offerings for our high school students. This is their area of education and also their specialization. Just like I have a specialization in my field of study, they also have a specialization, and I respect that. So they follow the Ohio Learning Standards for Social Studies that includes civic literacy, financial and economic literacy, and global awareness. So it's recommended that the Ohio model curriculum includes American history, American government, modern world history, world geography, economic and financial literacy, and contemporary world issues. All of the classes that have been chosen for our students for 6th grade through high school follow the model curriculum standards for the state of Ohio. So to me, I feel very confident in what was chosen by people who have the education and specialization in social studies.
Can I have a comment, please?
Yes.
So, I'm not here to question the professionalism of the people that reviewed the curriculum. They're extremely qualified, I'm sure of this, to make the decision on the studies that we're talking about. I'm not questioning any of that. But there was a board member that asked for time to review this. This has never been done in the Miamisburg City School Board. I guarantee it. There's not a board member that's ever asked that. That doesn't make it a wrong ask. There's no intent to harm students or allow proper time to schedule training for the new material. This is just a different way of thinking that should be treated fairly with equity and inclusion.
I'd like to clarify a couple of things to everybody. I'm not seeking out a struggle. Being new to the world of education, I have to reaffirm, I don't want to micromanage this neither. However, I believe that we have a separate oversight authority to represent voters in the community that put us in these chairs to vet this material on their behalf, separate from the teachers and the teachers union. And today, I met with Jordan Adams from Vermillion Education. His firm specializes in doing independent review for boards to guarantee their affordable services, and his curriculum audits often are done remotely with digital logins and passwords provided by the school districts. And, so I'm not suggesting that we dive down a rabbit hole that none of us have the time professionally to do, but I want to explain to you what brought me here. This is curriculum that was recently removed from the district. It was 4th grade social studies curriculum. I was interested in it because it was scheduled to be removed as part of the grade banding, and I was interested to see how we were teaching the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, and so on and so forth in American government. When I read through it, in the preface it says, pay attention to the words, but also look at the pictures and features. This book is packed with eye-catching visual that give you a ton of additional information if you only pay attention to them. So when I start to look at it, and I see a huge picture of a police officer leading a German Shepherd through a school district sniffing lockers with all the curriculum content in small print. Now this was being put in front of a 9-year-old 4th grader. And then I turn the page again, and there's someone being arrested by the state police. And then I turn the page again, it's an anti-death penalty protest saying fry fish, not people. And I'm not going to go on, but I could. So when I see this, and I ask in February for digital access to look at the back end of the social studies curriculum that replaced this, I still have not been provided with that. And I believe this serves as an example, based on proof, that I have a bona fide duty to speak up on behalf of the people that elected me to sit in this seat and keep these things out of our district. motion that this be tabled until the board has been given time to review the material. According to the BDCC, that says the agenda together with supporting materials. The supporting materials have not been provided for us to approve this. And if we're gonna keep people from speaking who take the time out of their lives to come and address this board, we need to be consistent and enforce the rules uniformly.
Do I have a second for that motion? Well, then we're gonna just vote on our, items A through E. All right. Mr. Mallon?
No.
I'm sorry, Steve.
That's
I was,
okay.
you're supposed to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Mr. Mallory?
No.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Daffler?
I abstain.
Mrs. Gatter?
Yes.
All right. Next, we move on to our human resources agenda items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. Employment in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII and FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with adopted board policies. Then B, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel report: supplemental stipend, certificated, classified. And the same verbiage. Then C, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve human resource items A and B. Do I have a motion? Oh, does anybody want, Mr. Hellman, do you want to speak? I know it tells us all the new changes for the grade banding and.
Yeah, it's normal monthly business.
Okay.
It was a long list.
Yeah.
Because
Very long
everybody,
list.
people are changing their schools.
Yeah. All right. So do I have a motion?
I make a motion that the Board of Education approve human resources items A and B.
I'll second.
Okay, so a first by Mrs. Getter and a second by Mr. Mallory. All right, roll call please.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gatter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
All right, next we move on to agreements and contracts. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the following agreements and contracts as presented. LEPI Enterprises Incorporated, the Mark Twain Crawl Space Project, $31,783. Mobile Health Services LLC. Resolution, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Miamisburg City School District declares and determines that due to an Ohio Department of Education requirement that all staff responsible for driving school-aged children must have an annual T8 physical for the 24-25 school year. Therefore, authorizes Mobile Health LLC to perform said T8 physicals for all CDL and band certified staff. Mobile Health LLC will invoice the district at a cost determined prior to May 1st. Said which, $2,505. Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council Electric Service Resolution. Warren County ESC Speech Bishop Leipold Auxiliary Funds, $22,915. Warren County ESC Service Quote Fiscal Year 2025, $1,928,000 and $1,928,036.
Yeah, I can do several of them on here. The Lead by Enterprise, as you know, we had the Pipes Under Mark Twain bust over during the winter time. And so we've had to repair those, redone with that. It's a wet crawl space. So in order to repair that, to put the vapor barrier up, keep odor out, keep it dry, that's what this is for. There was not a vapor barrier due to that, but the age of the building.
When was Mark Twain built?
Oh gosh,
It's old.
50s. It's,
So it's existed with the same dirt crawl space that's there now for 80 years? Okay.
yeah. So that will get the vapor barrier under there. To prevent that, we did all the air quality control checks throughout the building, did the mold test, and it all came back better than what they consider normal. So that was good for that.
Better than normal?
Better than normal. We were above.
What are we just spending the money for if we're better than normal with our testing?
Because there's an odor. There's an odor that's been there every year.
For 80 years?
Yeah, and the odor's getting worse than permeates. Then the mobile health services, that's State of Ohio requires bus drivers and van drivers that they have to have their TA physicals done every year, and the board has to approve the company that does that. So that's what that is for on there. Sedgwick, that is for us to participate in their workers' comp program. They manage our workers' comp for that. And then the Southwest Ohio Educational Purchasing Council resolution, that allows us to purchase electric as a whole, which does save us quite a bit of money each year as part of that consortium.
Right, do I have a motion?
Can I ask another question? Is it appropriate for Steve?
Well, you
That's
do the
Steve, since
motion.
Justin's not here.
Go ahead, we'll go ahead and do the motions, and then you can ask a
Okay.
question.
I move for agreements and contracts.
Second.
First by Corey Daffler, second by Mr. Amsler.
Mr. Hummon, since you are all things financial tonight, since Mr. Blevins isn't here, I have a question for you, and you would understand this. Being that I'm trying to understand the rules, and it says we're supposed to receive supporting materials and information we're voting on at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, I received the details to this $1.9 million contract with ESC yesterday, and the details associated with it today at 12:20. Is it still appropriate that we vote on it tonight, being that it's not the quote is valid until the 1st of June?
These are services that require special ed services that we cannot provide in the district.
No,
These are on students' IEPs.
I understand, I'm just trying to make sure we follow the rules consistently that are established. I'm just wondering if there's any reason why we should not in this case.
I work for the pleasure of the board.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go on to roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
Mr. Mallory.
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes. All right, now we move on to our financial agenda items. Approval of transfers and school fees waived. The treasurer CFO recommends the Board of Education approve the following transfers. These transfers are for school fees waived during January, March 2024. All transfers are made in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 570514. So we're moving all from the general fund, uniform supply, school supplies Fowler, $570. Uniform school supplies Bear, $270. Uniform school supplies Kinder, $1,110. Uniform school supplies Jane Chance, $900. Uniform school supplies Mark Twain, $210. Uniform school supplies Mound, $360. Uniform school supplies Medler, $360. Uniform school supplies at Miamisburg Middle School, $1,554. Uniform school supplies High School, $4,305. Class fees High School, $22. Class fees High School, $18. Class fees High School, $36. Class fees High School, $24, for a total of $9,739. And then B, it is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the Board of Education approve the then and now invoices as presented. C, it is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the Board of Education approve the following purchase orders as presented. IDEA, B, grant funds, Dayton Christian, WCESC Services, $87,000. Mark Twain Vapor Barrier, $31,783. Tech High School PC, $32,445. Curriculum Great Minds PVC, $30,742.40. Middle School PC, $141,677. Okay. And then D. It is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources be amended as listed in the attached reports. And then E, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve financial items A through D. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval items of financial items A through D.
Second.
First by Mr. Daffler, second by Mrs. Getter. Our treasurer's not here tonight. Dr. Blessing or Mr. Homan, do you want to speak to that?
I think a lot, the contracts we mentioned in the previous section.
Okay.
Are all these appropriations coming out of budgeted funds?
Yes.
Okay, so none of these represent something that wasn't accounted for the year? Thank you.
All right, roll call please.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
Mrs. Getter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Next we have acceptance of donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. $2,000 from the Miamisburg, Ohio Eagles Airy 2306 to the Miamisburg High School Band, $1,000, and Miamisburg City Schools Information Technologies, $1,000. $2,000 from Miamisburg Rotary Club to Miamisburg City Schools Community Connections, $1,500, and Destination Imagination, $500. $1,500 from the Miamisburg Visual Ensemble Booster Association, DBA, Miamisburg Winter Color Guard to Miamisburg City Schools for Miamisburg Winter Color Guard stipends. Books and supplies valued at $1,622 from the Mound Elementary School PTA to the Mound Elementary School Library. Do I have a motion to accept those donations?
I'll motion to accept the donations.
Second.
Okay, first by Mr. Mallory and a second by Mrs. Getter. Thanks so much for all of the donations. They're truly the icing on the cake for our staff and students. Any other comments or questions? All right, roll call.
Okay, Mrs. Getter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Daffler?
Yes.
All right. Now we're to our report section, and we're going to start out with our MVCTC board member, Molly Williams.
Good evening. The meeting was called to order on April the 9th at 7 o'clock with roll call, approval of minutes, and the treasurer's report. The ending cash balance as of March was $61,553,344.49. And I have included the financial report within these minutes that we can turn in. The applications for MVCTC continue to be accepted for the class of 2026. They have received 1,802 applications for that school year. for 24-25, and students have started receiving their application notifications that they have been accepted. There is a second choice process, so if they change their mind or they're moving or something happens, then other students are contacted to fill those spots. So they won't go unused if somebody changes their mind or moves. The top 5 most requested programs are number 1, cosmetology, number 2, pre-nursing, number 3, welding, number 4, vet science, and number 5, dental assisting. The top 5 school districts represented by these total applications are number 1 is Northmont, number 2 is Huber Heights, number 3 is Miamisburg, number 4 is Vandalia Butler, and number 5 is Brookville. We get lots of emails now with different information and stuff, and one of them is just about the Ohio schools and boards and everything, and one of them that I read said that Governor DeWine has given his State of the State the week of April the 8th, and he emphasized Ohio children and their futures. He mentioned career planning for the state's high school graduation requirements and expanding the funding for career tech education to ensure students who want that opportunity so they can be involved, which I thought was great because it parallels with what Miamisburg Schools is already doing. And it's great that we are a satellite program. Miamisburg students are continuing to receive lots of opportunities from Miami Valley CTC, even if they don't go there physically. And we are getting 2 new programs. One is retail agricultural services, and the other is veterinary science. So that's pretty exciting that they're getting those. It was really cool. This is my first year, and I got to attend the National Tech Honor Society on Sunday, March 24th. And I was so impressed with the entire process and ceremony. They had 141 students inducted into their National Society. 13 of them were from Miamisburg, and I did take pictures on my phone. I don't know if anybody wants those. I was like, yay! They're like the weird ladies taking pictures. The foundation for Miami Valley CTC actually gives each recipient a $500 scholarship to be used for future education, which I thought was amazing. And they do this every year. And that money comes, a lot of it from their staff and their personnel. So that shows the dedication of the staff up there. They held their prom on April the 6th, and there was around 899 students in attendance for the theme, A Night in Paradise. It was held in their MAC Center, and it was very well received, and there were pictures on their website of it. Important dates coming up, I really want to stress these to you guys. The one that's coolest is they're having their building dedication on May the 10th at 4 p.m. and then a general open house for everybody who wants to go up and see the facilities from 5 to, I believe, 7 or 8. The next one is their staff recognition at 11 o'clock on Friday, May 17th. Their senior recognition ceremony, which is their graduation, and it's at 6:30 at UD on the same day, May 17th. And then adult education graduation is Thursday, May the 23rd, and I plan on attending all of those.
Molly, I'm just curious, I'm trying to enter this in my phone, because the last 2 times you've told us about these dates, I haven't.
Okay.
What was the date that the tour was? Because that facility looks awesome, and I really want to try to get up there and check it out.
Wear tennis shoes, because it's huge. But it is May the 10th. And the ceremony itself starts at 4 p.m. and then it's open to the public for the rest. I think it starts at 5 and it goes to like 7. Pretty sure.
So if you can't get there until 6, you could get there late and just wander through the facility for now?
I would think so, yeah.
4 to 7 though?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Sure. On their agenda, they had 1 employee retire, and the board approved the hiring of 4 new people for the 24-25 school year, and 1 full-time and 1 substitute staff people. They're currently in negotiations with the Education Association. The second meeting was on April the 11th, and we have not heard anything about that. But the first one, both sides agreed to the language, the titles, the new dates, and it was generally a housekeeping meeting. An update will be provided for you at the next board meeting. The superintendent did say that the meeting went extremely well and everybody has worked well together in the past and they don't foresee any problems, but I'll have a complete report for you next time. They are keeping an eye on the proposed bill HB 445, and they said for us to just report that to you because everybody's watching it, apparently. The next one is kind of exciting. It's the Skills USA Southwest Regional Competition. It's our state levels, so we have had 13 students move through the process, and they're now performing at the regionals in order to go to state. So they approved travel for, there's 2 students from Miamisburg that are in for state competitions, and the board has approved up to 23 students to travel to Atlanta for the national conference competition in June. And when they hear the response of what happened at state, which hasn't occurred yet, I will let you know who gets to go and what's going on. One student at Miami Valley CTC was awarded the Amazon Box. It's a $40,000 scholarship, and it's school funding for future Amazon engineers. It's the premises, and they literally do a video and they send a box via Amazon to a student in school, and they have a big presentation to them. So the student that won it, she is actually going to go to UD to become an engineer. So it's pretty amazing that they're picking these students from that school. The last topic is kind of an odd one. It just came up this week, and I want you to be aware. There's a news article that you might hear about Miami Valley CTC, and I also put the letter from the superintendent in this packet so you guys would have a record of it. But there was a student that was suspended for eating a bag of chips in a classroom. And it sounds straightforward and very silly, but there are always more sides than one to a story. The teacher in question has a very severe allergy to corn products, and the students are made aware of this issue and signs are posted in the area. Students and parents are made to sign an agreement at the beginning of the year that they will not bring corn products into this area because she is deathly allergic. I mean, she could die. The parent contacted the news and put several comments on social media that her daughter was suspended for this. And the Miami Valley CTC has issued a statement in defense of the teacher and her safety and the Americans with a Disability Act. And I do have his letter here and the statement from them. So they are really afraid that the news, WHIO, was just going to say, she ate a bag of chips. Well, she put somebody in danger. So there were 2 sides, and I just wanted you to be aware of that. So if you do have any questions, I can have a follow-up or find out any more information that you would need. So, but that's pretty much it. They're wrapping up the year, and there's a lot of events going on. It's pretty exciting. So, yeah. I brought with me, this is the National Technical Honor Society commencement for them. And then this, if anybody is interested in looking, this is a brochure for the class of 2026. It tells what is available at CTC, so anybody can look at that. And again, I have their financials and the letter. Do you have any questions for me? I highly recommend you go and take the tour because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just as a comment, my niece is graduating from MVCTC this year. In
Congratulations.
veterinary stuff. My family and my sister could not be happier. She's going to go to the University of Findlay and pursue a career in the veterinary services. So
Good for her.
they have been nothing but happy, and I'm really looking forward to touring the facility.
Yeah, good.
All right, next we have
I'll put it in the
thank
file.
you.
Is that okay?
Our legislative liaison, Mr. Mallory.
Thank you, Mrs. Neese. Just a brief update, the House was back in session and there was some activity. Just to revisit House Bill 68, the Saving Ohio Adolescents from Experimentation Act will become law in about, 8 days, which is April the 24th, 2024. State Representative Young called me this afternoon. He was speaking kind of quickly as he was headed into a meeting, so I did my best to take some notes. But I promise next month I will follow up on this. He mentioned a college credit plus bill and mentioned that there is about 485 changes coming to that I will promise to track and offer a more thorough report next month. House Bill 183, which is the restroom locker room bill, was voted out of committee and is waiting to be called for a vote on the House Representatives floor. The Senate's version of the CCP bill is Senate Bill 104, which that's in the House Workforce Committee. And those details are emerging as well. There's a new piece of legislation that was actually sponsored by District 37 Rep. Tom Young, our state representative, as well as District 39 Rep. Phil Plummer, who both represent our district. They were co-sponsors on a bill, on House Bill 485, that aims to curb the dangers of cell phone and social media impacts to kids while they're in school. The purpose is to revise the Ohio Revised Code to create internet safety and some policy to offer some guidance and restraint to empower schools to kind of combat the disruptions that we all know cell phones can be, even in our own life. Rep. Young did tell me that, you know, the dangers within TikTok, Snapchat, and other social media, they're tracking those dangers, they're aware of them, they're doing their best to combat them as best they can. I know me and Mrs. Neese was in a behavioral matrix meeting at the high school this week, and you know, we discussed, it seemed in that meeting that cell phones came up a lot. It's a tough thing because you can only put so many controls on them, and kids are clever. They can figure out workarounds and sneak to do those things in different ways. So although it would be challenging, it's a step in the right direction to acknowledge the dangers and start to combat them. Representative Young did emphasize one area of this, and I can appreciate this very much, that this would be a nightmare for teachers to have to be the enforcement arm of, and that he reiterated to me that the goal in this legislation is to empower boards of education and administrative staff to develop the policy and controls to deal with this, and not dump another heavy load on a teacher that's trying to focus on education. That's all I got.
All right. Mr. Amsar, did you have any other? Yeah, there are other
Yes.
recognition for student achievement. Okay.
Besides Mound Elementary School kindergarten student Braxton Miller, we also have Bauer Elementary School Sophia Gomes, Bear Elementary School Savannah Terry, Jane Chance Elementary School Brandon Cox, Kinder Elementary School Dylan Sweeterman, Mark Twain Elementary School Elijah Fisher, Medlerview Elementary School Marcus Eichhorn, Miamisburg Middle School Noah Miracle, and Miamisburg High School Teddy Troop as all representatives of the students of the month. So congratulations to all of them.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Amsler. Next we have our Montgomery County Drug-Free Coalition liaison, Donna Getter.
We didn't have a meeting this month, but we will be meeting live in May.
All right, thank you. Next we have our district news and information from Mr. Daffler.
The latest Making a Difference honorees from Mark Twain Elementary, are Mark Twain Elementary School Administrative Assistant Carla Jones, Mark Twain teacher Megan Cole, and Miamisburg Middle School teacher Stephanie Osborne. Carla was nominated by teacher Jennifer Damon and Patty DeMott. They said Carla is a nurturer and has the ability to balance the tyranny of the urgent daily task with a listening ear and a gentle smile. She is the kind spirit that works behind the scenes to efficiently complete clerical tasks. She maintains detailed records and always supports staff to see that everyone has the tools to function seamlessly. Mark Twain teacher Megan Cole was nominated by Jennifer Schaumberger. Jenny said Megan goes the extra mile in everything she does. She is loved by all the students and a friend to all the members at Mark Twain staff. She is truly one of a kind, and one of the main reasons it is always better to be a Viking. Also recently honored was Miamisburg Middle School teacher Stephanie Osborne. Stephanie was nominated by Jennifer Pressel and Miamisburg Middle School Team 8 teachers Maggie Critchfield, Mary Ankrum, Louis Wiskowski, and Kevin Osborne. who said this year Stephanie moved out of ELA and to teach social studies on Team 7. Even though she moved content areas, she spent her own time redeveloping 2 7th grade ELA department units by having students focus on essential questions during lessons. Also, as before, she has continued to provide support, advice, and revision to lessons, all while finding any question that arises from ELA teachers on our floor. Stephanie is a tremendous asset to our school, no matter what subject she teaches, and we are very blessed to work with her. The nominations can be read here on the board docs at the district website.
Right, thank you, Mr. Backler. Next, we'll go to our roundtable comments, and we'll let our student board rep, Andrew, start out.
I don't have much to say regarding any topics discussed today. I would just like to thank all of the donations as usual, as they enable us to do and enable us to get and provide things for our student body, and I think it's great.
Mr. Hellman?
So we have end of the year, season's wrapping up in sports and our fine arts. So it's always a fast-paced time of the year, but I do want to start some congratulations to all of our sports teams that are wrapping up in the spring here. We also have a Winter Guard, a World Guard last weekend, finished 12th in their division of the world, so that's a remarkable accomplishment to all of them. This weekend, we have our Winds that will be competing as well this weekend in WGI, so congratulations to them, and I will pass the baton because I really want to get to our district track meet we're hosting this evening, and also we have Winds from all over the United States at the high school tonight, so I'd like to get out there and support both of those groups tonight.
I'll be quick. I just want to say congratulations to Jason, your daughter, and the state. That's a phenomenal accomplishment. I know how much hard work. My mom was a cheerleading advisor for a number of years, so I know how much work that the coaches put in, the kids put in, the parents put in, travel. They're one of the hardest working people in the high school.
I wish you would have helped me embarrass them.
You know, one thing that we're technically known for outside of the academics is our band, our color guard, and our cheerleaders. And it's been that way ever since I've been to school, and that was back in the 80s. So congratulations to them. Also, our staff appreciation from the bus drivers all the way down. That's the core group of what gets our kids to school, secretaries, you know, you name it. Everybody does a lot of work that goes unnoticed, but it's always appreciated. So to all of them, congratulations, and I'll pass it on to Jason.
I'll be quick too to get everybody out the door. Real quick, Andrew, you and your peers have been doing a dynamite job. You really have been, and it's kind of cool to see young people that carry themselves well as mature young adults and participate to a conversation. It can be contentious at times, but you know, it's all about collaborating and sharing ideas and being open to different perspectives, and having your and your peers' perspectives at this table certainly makes me a better person and a better board member, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge the members of the community that came to the meeting tonight. It's a beautiful night out. Everybody's grass is growing at a rapid rate, and I know Mr. Bo over there got a new John Deere. He loves to drive around his yard, so but I appreciate you taking the time to come out and be a part of the operations of your school. Again, another quick shout out to the cheerleaders and coaches for the middle school comp team. A quick comment, briefly, not to go from a positive to a downer, but discipline issues and teacher safety has been coming to the paramount, and I won't elaborate beyond that other than it is on our radar, and we share those concerns, and we want our teachers to feel safe and to not have to face those burdens. On another note, something that I noticed this week, and I'm hoping that this can lead to a collaborative conversation. we all got jobs as board members, and I understand, that some people that have a history of being here for a long time have established trust and long-time relationships that are decades old. I don't have that benefit. I've only been here for 4 months, and I take my responsibility sitting here very seriously, and having access to everything in a timely manner amongst a busy professional and personal life with my family is something that I hope we can do a little bit better to improve. Since the agenda was released, there were several items that were added, and I understand they're added on necessity. I get it. I totally understand. But right now our policy is 48 hours, and I think it would be beneficial to the professionals that are also trying to manage businesses and professional lives to set aside the appropriate amount of time if we expanded that 48 hours for our agenda to be posted to 1 week. And I hope that Mrs. Neese and Dr. Blessing could maybe give that some consideration so that board members can have a little more time to be thorough in their review instead of getting notes the day of meetings, if at all possible. One more thing. I'm a good friend and member of our community. Rich Davison had a procedure yesterday. He did well, but Richie's a veteran. He's a great example of an American patriot. He's retired from the Dayton Police Department as a detective and now works at Miami Valley Hospital as a detective. So he's got a life of public service. Beyond that, he's been involved in the Miamisburg baseball program for many years and devotes a lot of his time to coaching. And I just want to pass on my thoughts and well wishes to Rich and his family and his kids for a speedy recovery and nothing best for their family. That's all I got.
I just want to say thank you to our staff. I think everything else has pretty much been said. I will have to say the last 2 years I have gone to the WINS final competition at UD, and it's fabulous and it's worth the admission fee. So good luck to them and congratulations to the Guard for doing placing 12th in the world. What does WGI stand for? World Guard International? Okay. All right. Thank you.
I would like to touch base on a banquet I went to last night. I was at the Miami Valley CTC FFA banquet. Learned a lot. This is a new chapter. This is a satellite program that we got going on with Miami Valley CTC. It was a great experience. The students themselves put on the banquet, and a couple things that I learned was you really don't have to know much about farming. They're really into trying to build leaders and get you out of your comfort zone, put you in positions to be a leader, come out of your shell, be a speaker, all the above, on top of some agricultural things. I hope that continues to grow. It was great. It was a great thing to be a part of last night. Congrats to all of them. Congrats to the Miamisburg chair, and if my calendar states correctly, when I left, I think there was 25 days left of school. The boys got marked, so hang in there for till the end of the year. It's almost over. Thank you.
I'd like to share my appreciation to the mini grant committee. I don't think everybody realizes that takes a lot of work. It was so exciting to see all the creative and new ways that our teachers are enhancing our academics. And then, of course, congratulations to Braxton Perry, our District Student of the Month, and thank you for all the Making a Difference honorees. Congrats to the middle school cheerleaders. I think we've already said that, but how wonderful. I mean, my daughter was a cheerleader and I was a cheerleader advisor, and it does take a lot of time. It's a year-round sport. And I was with Corey and Ann last night at the FFA banquet, and like Corey, I was so impressed because the entire program was student-led. And then I would also like to thank our entire district staff. Hang in there just a little bit longer. We'll have a little bit of a break anyway.
This evening, Mark Twain and Medlerview and Bear and in Bauer had kindergarten open house for our new incoming kindergartners and their families. So I want to shout out to those staffs for taking time out this beautiful April evening to welcome our new families and put that together. So that's exciting. And then tomorrow is our high school prom, the start of all of our end of the year senior and high school activities, which is always a pleasure and a joy. And we're looking forward to graduation on May 18th.
I own a small business downtown, and this week I was so excited to watch our high school students come down and participate in helping to make our downtown a little more fun, a little more welcoming. The students from the high school partnered with the city and partnered with the graphic designers from the city and everything, and they created what's called a blue line. And it is actually a fun interactive path that stretches from Riverfront Park all the way over to Main Street, then to First Street, then to Second Street. And if people are walking through, it's helping them to explore downtown Miamisburg. There is a Pac-Man section, there's hopscotch, there's splashes, and all these kids were out on this beautiful day creating art with their teachers and working with people from the city and from staff. And it was just great to see how well received and how courteous and wonderful our students are out in the public. So it was just awesome, and it made me think, I just live in a great community. So I just had to say that was really cool. And when I grow up, I'm going to be Andrew. So you guys have a great evening. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Molly. Right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.